Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Monday, July 6, 2015, around 4:55 in the afternoon, Billerica, Massachusetts. Sunny out, getting a little tad warmer. It's about in the mid-80s. Humidity's getting up there, a little sticky, but comfortable. Tomorrow and Wednesday, oppressive humidity. We could reach 90, but Wednesday could be some heavy-duty thunder showers. Some news to report. The Memphis Grizzlies re-signed Marc Gasol to a 5-year contract extension worth the max $110 million. Manu Ginobili has announced he's going to be back with the Spurs next year. And it's happy National Fried Chicken Day in the United States. And one more thing. Kourtney Kardashian broke up with Scott Disick. But most people do not care except the celebrity gossip shows and stuff like that in celebrity gossip magazines. That's about it on the news. My next video subject is about my memories of the USA Network game show blog, which started in 1984 and ended in 1995. USA Network's first game show it showed was the classic comedy game show The Gong Show, produced and hosted by Chuck Barris, and they showed it for about a year on the USA Network, showed reruns of it from the NBC version, the daytime version, to see Gene, the Dancing Machine, and the Unknown Comic, and Chucky Baby hosting it, and plus the amateur talent of The Gong Show, which was pretty good, and stuff like that. USA started to run reruns of game shows because of, like, they needed programming in the afternoons and stuff like that, and probably to get ratings, they decided to show reruns of game shows. Other cable networks, including CBN, show classic game shows for about a few years, including Card Sharks and Blockbusters and Tic-Tac-Toe and others. But USA Network game show block got more and more popular. Then they started to add Make Me Laugh, which was hosted by Bobby Van, who was an actor, comedian, once married to Lang Joyce. Make Me Laugh was on syndication for about a year, 1979-80. Then they added reruns of the Bill Cullen version of The Joker's Wild and Bullseye with Jim Lane, and in, I think, April of 1985, and their game show block got expanded to 2 hours. Got very high ratings. In September of 1985, the USA Network added reruns of the classic short-lived game show that was on NBC for about 6 months, Chain Reaction, hosted by Bill Cullen, which was on the noontime death slot when it was on NBC. And then USA Network started their first original game show. It was called Jackpot, a revival of the classic 1974 and 1975 series, which was on NBC starring Jeff Edwards, but this one was produced in Canada, hosted by Mike Darrow. It was produced for Global Television in Canada and the USA Network, so it's not really a USA original game show, but people still think it's a USA original game show. And it was a pretty decent hit. It lasted 3 years, and the reruns of, like, the classic game shows were so sky high. And USA Network continued to expand the game show lineup to add more reruns of classic game shows like The Liars Club and Tic-Tac-Toe and Hot Potato during the next few years and stuff. They shuffled a few game shows out, like the reruns of The Joker's Wild with Bill Cullen and Bullseye. And in, like, I think September of 1986, they added reruns of All-Star Blitz with Peter Marshall, which lasted a year on ABC. And then they showed reruns of the new Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall, which was in syndication 1984 through 1986. And they also had another original USA Network game show, which was produced in Canada, the new Chain Reaction with Jeff Edwards and stuff, which was also another one from Global Television in Canada and stuff. So Global Television in Canada and USA Network had probably a working relationship to produce original game shows. Another big hit, and USA Network's game show lineup was continuing to get ratings. In fact, they were getting great ratings. I heard some I think they were the highest rated daytime block for cable television with reruns of these game shows, which is pretty amazing. And like 1987, September 1987, they added reruns of Press Your Luck, Big Bucks, Big Bucks, Big Bucks, Stop, Whammies, and with Peter Tomarken, which was a coach show on CBS for 3 years. Press Your Luck lasted close to 8 years reruns on the USA Network. That's almost 3 times the double the original run it was on CBS and stuff. And then USA Network continued to grow and stuff. Soon it was game shows from 12 in the afternoon, noontime, to 5 in the afternoon, 5-hour block. They added the $25,000 Pyramid in 1988 and stuff, and other reruns of it, and they continued to grow. Many people loved watching these reruns of game shows and stuff like that. There was a marketplace for it and stuff like that, and people who stayed home could maybe start watching game shows as early as 9 in the morning, because they had some syndicated game shows they had on local stations back then, to maybe about 8 at night, because after USA's network blocks of game shows ended, some of syndicated game shows were on local television and stuff like that. And eventually a couple of other cable networks had their own game show blocks of original game shows, like Lifetime with like Supermarket Sweep and Shop Your Drop. That's another story for another day. I think in the late 1980s, I mean USA Network added another original game show called Bumper Stumpers, which was produced by Wink Martindale and Jack Barry and N-Red Productions, produced in Canada. Another global television USA Network joint venture, and Bumper Stumps was a great game show and stuff like that. Lasted 3 years and stuff. And also, USA Network was having some game shows that were briefly ran in the late 80s. Was Couch Potatoes with Mark Summers, another good game show about TV games. Television series and stuff. And in the 90s, the USA Network started to drop some original game shows, like Jackpot ended, and then Chain Reaction ended, but they added more reruns, like the New Hollywood Squares with John Davison, and then they added Scrabble with Chuck Rory in the early 1990s and stuff, Win, Lose, or Draw with Bert Convey's version, another great game show. Plus, around this September 1991, they had insert games in between the game shows, which was hosted by John Davison, and he had like questions where people could call in and they could win prizes and stuff like that. They did that during the game show block on USA Network, which was shortened in the early 1990s from 2 to 5 p.m. and stuff, because they started to lose rights to some of these game shows they broadcast over the years, and they added some more, like the 1990 version of Joker's Wild and Tic Tac Toe and Sale of the Century with Jim Perry and stuff. They still had like Press Your Luck, the reruns of it, and like these were still highly rated. But this is around the time when more networks were going after having their own game show blocks, like the Family Channel. They had a game show block. They had reruns of All New Let's Make a Deal and Name That Tune with Jim Lane, and they had like Trivia Pursuit, an original game show hosted by Rick Martindale, plus interactive game shows and stuff, which took the audience from the USA Network reruns, because they liked Trivia Pursuit with Rick Martindale and stuff. But that's another story for another day. Eventually, the game show block on USA Network got chopped down to 2 hours and stuff, from 2 to 4, which was kind of sad. They tried to have original game shows in 1994, like Free for All and Quicksilver, but these were low produced, and they were USA originals. They didn't have any help from global television in Canada. These were produced in Hollywood by Stone Stanley Productions, but they only lasted about a year or so, and they tried to have reruns of Caesar's Challenge with Ahmad Rashad, which was filmed in Las Vegas and stuff like that. And by the time early 1995 rolled around, the game show block on the USA Network was on its deathbed because of one thing. The game show network the Game Show Network came on in like December of 1994. They showed reruns of a lot of game shows from Goodson Todman Productions. USA Network never showed a game show from Goodson Todman Production. There were rumors in the late 1980s they were talking with Goodson Todman to air some reruns of classic game shows, but I think they did not get a dollar figure amount and stuff. I heard they were going to maybe show reruns of like the syndicated version of the Match Game and stuff, or I heard something lower, like lesser run game shows like Trivia Trap or Child's Play and stuff like that, which you know they probably would have, because they probably could afford maybe reruns of short-lived game shows. That was mostly the USA Network game show block. They showed many short to middle-sized reruns of game shows that lasted maybe a couple of years, except I think the $25,000 Pyramid and stuff. And by October of 1995, the game show block on USA Network ceased to exist. Was very, very sad and disappointing, because I loved watching the game shows on the USA Network. Got to see many of these game shows maybe for the first time, because I was in school when these were on the original times on network television in the morning times where I was in school, but getting to watch them after school were pretty good. Got to know the Whammies and the $25,000 Pyramid and Scrabble and Sale of the Century reruns and the Joker's Wild reruns of Bill Cullen and Bullseye with Jim Lane. They were great game shows, plus, you know, other short-lived game shows. USA Network, like with the original game shows that were produced in Canada and stuff like that, I think they were cheaply produced and stuff, but with the game show block big time ratings, they should have maybe produced their own game shows by themselves, but I think maybe USA Network didn't really have a budget to produce too many original shows in the late 1980s, early 1990s, besides primetime shows and stuff like that. And it was real great to get to know like USA Network, you know, with the programmings. Now, what they show on the USA Network in that time slot on the weekdays is endless reruns of Law and Order, and probably movies from the Universal Library that you probably see 6, 7, 8 times a week, or sometimes they show it maybe these movies in the same time slot 2 or 3 times a month. It gets repetitive and stuff like that, but they cannot show game shows on the USA Network anymore, because they have long-term contracts with GSN or the new buzzer, Let's Play. And that's about it on my memories of the USA Network game show block. My third and final video blog of the night's coming up, and it's about the personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is musician and game show host John Bowser Bauman. I'll tell you her story. And great videos coming in the next few weeks, months, and years. And coming Saturday, MBTA Bus Route 67 from Alewife, Red Line Station to Turkey Hill in the Arlington Winchester line. There's such a thing called Turkey Hill. I'm going to tell you about it. That's 5 more days away. See you later, and keep calm. And I'm a Julie Brennan guy. And in the words of Sean Lucha, get out. Bye.